Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to give everyone a few more minutes to log in, and then we'll begin the presentation shortly. All right, thank you all for joining us for this webinar, our enrollment marketing session. We will be recording this webinar, so you will all receive a copy of the presentation along with the recording after the webinar. Joining us today, you have myself, Brittany Smith. I am the Marketing Operations Manager at Charter School Capital, and will be facilitating the questions that you guys have throughout the presentation. And we'd love to hear from you. So please feel free to ask any questions you may have throughout the webinar using that Q&A button at the bottom of the Zoom toolbar. And presenting today will be Janet Johnson, Chief Growth Officer at Charter School Capital. And Janet, if you want to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Brittany. It's wonderful to be here, and good day, everyone. We're actually in our 4th season now of enrollment marketing. I joined Charter School Capital. It's hard to talk this morning. This should be a really fun morning. I joined Charter School Capital 3.5 years ago now, and we started our enrollment marketing services with one school 3 years ago and have learned a lot ever since. And so we're finally at a point now where we are able to open it up to more folks, which is why we're having this presentation this morning. And so I do encourage questions along the way. Brittany will interrupt me, which might be a little difficult for her, but it'll be fun for you to watch, I hope. And at the end, as she said, we'll open it up for even more questions if you have any. So with that, I'm going to start to go through this. And last year in our enrollment marketing season, boy, howdy, did we learn a lot. It was a difficult year for all the schools across the country that we worked with, and we worked with about 20 schools across the country. You know, COVID just threw a wrench in everybody's best laid plans. And so what I wanted to open with is, we hope this year will be much better with vaccines and people getting used to, and the ideas of science letting us go back into the classrooms. But we found in the last year that a lot of the elementary school kiddos and the dropout recovery students in the high school areas were the hardest hit because of people moving away, people keeping their kids from changing schools at the time, and also just the necessity of working more to feed your families and that kind of thing. So those are the schools that especially have suffered. We do see, and this is just a chart from the state of California, just about the huge declines in enrollment across the country. So if you've experienced that, it's really important to know that you are not alone. And that's another reason why we've created this enrollment marketing service, because at Charter School Capital, the reason we are here is to help charter schools serve more students. And there's no better way to be able to serve more students than help schools with their enrollments. And as I mentioned, especially during a pandemic, people can't get out, so they have to find your school digitally first. And that is really the most important thing that we bring to the table, is that we are very digital forward in our marketing for schools. We're able to tell the story of your school to prospective parents without them having or being able to oftentimes leave their homes and come and meet you. As I said, fourth year of our services, we actually learn every year more about what schools need and how we can deliver better services. And we're very excited to be working with some really fun schools right now. Our team, and I'll introduce you to a few folks from our team in the next slide, but deeply involved in digital marketing, very experienced in charter school marketing, which is something that we've found has been really important, that you don't have to help us understand what a charter school is versus a traditional public school. And we hit the ground running really, really fast with our work together. Most schools that work with us can actually almost be out in the market within 2-3 weeks of us getting together and learning more about your school. Now, I'll describe that process as we go along. And the important thing to know about what we are delivering to people in the charter school space is that we are very confident in our services. We are committed, like you are, to the growth of charter schools to serve more students. And we put our energy, our team, we spend the money up front, we bear the risk of our work, and we're so sure, we hope, if we have great partnerships with our schools, that we can help deliver increased ADA, ADM, FTE, whatever your state refers to it, that if we don't increase the number of students, the ADA, ADM, or FTE coming to your school, you don't pay a dime. We have this pure pay for performance model that you can find out more about after our conversation this morning if you're interested. We also give schools other choices of how to pay for the program if you like, but we really are confident and we bear the risk in sharing the rewards of getting more kids into your schools. Sounds a little complicated. It's really not as complicated as it sounds. I'm going to focus this on our process and the people that are behind our services. And you can certainly check with us and talk a little bit more about how we structure the work that we do together. Again, we are a very digital forward team. I've spent most of my professional life before I came to Charter School Capital in the technology space, running marketing teams for technology companies. And a lot of my experience personally over the last 12 years have been with ed tech or education companies. I ran marketing for a group of charter schools probably 8 years ago now, I think it's been. And so deeply understand and appreciate school marketing. And at that place and in those spaces, I've handpicked people who have come along with me over the past 8 to 10 years to actually deliver even more enrollment services. I'd like to point out a couple of people on this slide. Liz, who writes the content for our schools, is a mom of fifth grade boys, twins. And she writes from a parent's perspective. Everything she writes about your school is through the lens of a parent. LaTanya used to buy media for United Airlines and Redbox, the media folks that, the little red kiosks out in front of Walgreens, et cetera. So she really is a world-class media purchaser that is available to us now for our charter school folks because we have a long-term relationship. Ashley, who is our lead product manager and helps redo websites if need be, et cetera, is her mother is a charter school teacher, and her younger siblings actually have gone to charter schools. And then Ben and I worked together at a very large organization that supported about 70,000 students out in the world. And he developed a really strong content marketing engine that what made a lot of what we're doing today for our charter schools possible, because he and I were working very closely together on those things 9 years ago. So we have a team of world-class people here that we're putting to work for the charter schools that we serve. And that's really rewarding for me to be able to bring a team of folks that have such great experience to the schools that we serve. Typically, what we do in our efforts is we take the schools from where they are, where they have become, how they are today, whether you have a wonderful website, whether you have a beginner's website, whether you need a new website, and we create a thriving digital presence for you. And the way that we do that is we develop a lot of content for your school over the time that we're together. We do Google AdWord placements. We do Facebook and Instagram advertising. We will redo your website if need be. We help you with so much content that we make digital marketing, email marketing very simple. We work either with your social media folks, or we will help you with your social media, depending on how you're set up. We oftentimes work with organizations and school leaderships that have a marketing team in place already. We love that. We'll partner with your school the way that, we're very flexible in how we partner with you. So we will understand and really get deeply involved in, as deeply as we can with you in your marketing efforts. And the thing that we do, I think that has changed the way that our current schools that we work with work on their marketing. We take a lot of that off the school leaders' plates so that they can focus on teaching the kids, dealing with, are we going to start school next week? Are we going to be in person? Are we going to have to move to a hybrid or an online only space? There's so much that you are working on right now that we can take that enrollment marketing piece off your plate. These are activities typically that we do, and I will also say right here, and we'll see some examples of all these in a moment, that we support a community-based, what I call ground game, which is critically important, even in the environment that we're in today, that people can come and still meet you somehow, whether it's through a drive-through open house, a Zoom open house, those kinds of things. That community building activity still resides on your shoulders, and we enable you to do that a little bit better with things like postcards, door hangers, radio advertising. We will create brochures for you to take out into the community and help you with your kind of on the ground activities by driving people to them and making them aware of them. And we start with the school by developing what we call story arcs. And story arcs are, here's an example of one for a school that we did a couple years ago, where we pick 3 or 4 themes that we weave through all the material that we create for you and all the stories that we tell for you over the enrollment season. We meet with you first. We create these 3 themes. You would bless them and say, this is a reflection exactly of who my school is in my community. And then we begin to create content, very rich content around these stories that we put out in Facebook posts, Instagram posts, using your photos. If you don't have photos, then we'll help you find photos that other schools aren't using in your area that we can best reflect your school. And these stories will certainly are certainly meant to set you apart from other schools in the community, so that parents who come to your website, who see you via social media, who hear about you from others, can really understand deeply what's going on in your school. So this is an example of a story arc and a Facebook post. And you would get these within 2 weeks, basically, of us coming together. And then once we have gotten your thumbs up that these stories perfectly reflect your school, we're off and running. And we take the load off your shoulders and really become your digital marketing presence. We've taken websites, as I mentioned, and we've, taken this is an example of a before website where the school leader built it herself. She did a great job, but, we took it into a place where it was highly optimized for enrollment, made it very simple. People understood what's happening. We added some translation services to it. And we made it very simple for people, especially on our mobile phones. These mobile phones drive about 70% of traffic to your website these days. So I would encourage you to take a look at what your website looks like on a mobile phone, and see how you show up. There may be some areas where we could help you. As I mentioned, we have our team also is a group of designers. We will help with school mascot and logo updates if need be. Some examples here of things that we've done in the last year or so. In some cases, again, the school leaders are doing the best they can to create fun and engaging mascots, et cetera. In this particular case, we were able to actually recreate them and make them unique to the school versus, torn from clip art or something like that. So just doing our best to make the school look fun and exciting for their community members. We do, as I mentioned, do this physical creative. This is a couple of examples of some postcards. We try to make sure that we're being receptive to, or responsive to the languages that are spoken in the different communities. In this case, you'll see we create postcards in 2 different languages. We create, banners in the lower area of the screen here. You can see that in the case of Almond Acres, which is a school down in Paso Robles, California, they're building a new school right now. And so we put really nice banners out in front of the school building being built so that people can, see what's happening on the inside. They'll open in the fall, and we're really excited about that. And then we'll also create advertising and other kinds of material for the community. In the case of Catalyst back in Pittsburgh area, we created newspaper advertising, and now we've got some new door hangers to go up. Now we're dependent on the school leadership and the staff to get this material out, to hang the signs and those kinds of things. But in general, this kind of work is really still very, very important for the community. And we pay for all this. We do the designs. We print them in your local area print shops, and you go pick them up and start to leverage them. Again, we work with your photos. We can work with stock photos, but we love to be able to get deep inside your school and really deeply understand your community, how you work with your community, and create beautiful content for you to share in your community, and have them really, become a much bigger engagement engine for you. This is an example timeline. Basically, we are in actually the middle of February right now, and this is peak planner parent season. Those parents who are really looking for the schools that they want their children to start in the fall or in the late summer, this is the time to capture their awareness. It's not too late to do this, because those folks are, basically looking around right now for where they want to be. We take a lot of the work in the first 2 to 3 weeks to get set up, to get all the access that we need to your Facebook page or website. We start that internal work really quickly within the first couple of weeks, so that within a month, generally, we're out in market and talking to parents actively. So our goal is to have all the schools that want to work with us sign up and get going by the end of April, or excuse me, by the end of March, because that's really when we want to have plenty of runway to get as many students in the door as you want to get in the door. Um, it's obvious that during the June, July, August timeframe, you've got procrastinating parents who, may have thought, well, school's going okay this year, but now I'm really thinking about wanting to move my child. We want to capture those. And in the past year, the real challenge there is, and I can tell you, this is something that we're dealing with right now. Most parents, or some parents, or a lot of parents, are actually doing this kind of wait and see attitude. So I suspect people are going to make their decisions a little bit later on in the season. So that gives us plenty of opportunity to capture the minds and hearts of the community to do so. There's been a lot of pressure on schools and districts to open, go hybrid, be online. Some parents don't want their children going back to a school physically yet. Some parents don't want their kids to be online in front of a machine all day. So we're going to have to do the best we can, and I'm hoping that you're not exhausted yet, but that you can just continue to be very transparent about your plans with the community. And were you working with us, we would help you with that. Transparency and planning, and helping your communities really understand how you're dealing with all the ups and downs of where we are today. It will serve you very, very well. And again, we help you with those messages. We help you write scripts and things like that to get you, very, very comfortable as you continue to negotiate how things are working out. We use tools like Google Drive, calendars. We share the information with the schools every week. We meet with our schools leaders every week. You can assign a person or two to meet with us. We do require those meetings weekly so that we can tell what's going well, what's not going well, what's happening at the school in the next couple of weeks or months, so that we can get the word out. And we work best when we have a little bit larger extended team of people. For example, for one of our schools right now, we have 2 board members and 2 parents, in addition to someone else on the school staff, meet with us every week. And that is a rich, rich experience when you have people who are really coming from all angles, and listening to what we're saying, and making suggestions to us. It can be a very, very exciting experience for the school and for the people who are involved. So the reason I'm putting this particular slide up, there's going to be a couple of them like this, is that everything that we do is ultimately and very, very easily metrics driven. We count the number of people that we can drive through Google, Facebook, paid search, organic search, et cetera, et cetera. So everything we do is very measurable. And in this case, we worked with an Ohio school who took a new group of people came in, took a fairly struggling school, had about 50 kids, and changed the name of the school, got a new website for the school. And we started working with them last year in, I want to say, end of June. And so they had, when we met them, they said, please, can you get us on the first page of Google searches for our school's name, because it was a brand new school. And when you typed in the name of their school, the closest thing that came up was a school in India. So we had to work really hard to establish them in the community because they were new. And we were able to take this school in conjunction with their work. It was a shared work effort. Don't get me wrong, this was not just us doing all the work. They had a beautiful ground game from my perspective. And we were able to establish them as a force in the community that ended up with almost 200 kids, which is really exciting for everyone involved. So again, I'm not going to go through all these analytics, but this was over a 3-month period of time. You can see once you get this deck, you can see the kind of metrics that we capture and that we work with the schools to understand. And I'm going to just say that when parents are searching for a school, they're not necessarily searching for the name of your school. In this case, this is for this Ohio school that we served. When they said, get us on the front page of Google, it was very important for us to do so. So, and these are actual slides from the end of the year wrap up for these schools. I haven't retouched them at all, but so you'll see 60% of the top 10 searches were variations on your school's brand. That was critical for us, that we could establish the brand name of that school in the community. And then importantly, and very importantly for schools who are more established, we were able to actually capture what we call discovery searches, which are best middle school near me or best charter school near me. Those kinds of discovery searches are very, very valuable. And we want to make sure that you and your school are being found for those. So test that out, see how you show up when you type in something like a best X type of school near me. It's a real good indication of where you have some ability to improve your search results. And that's done using a lot of content, which is where we come in. We help you develop and deliver all this content that helps you show up for searches like that. With another more established district in Arizona, here's similar 3-month metrics. We started them. This is during the height of the procrastinator parent season. We were actually able to take a very established school, elementary, middle, and high school, and be able to even raise their awareness in the communities even more. I'm going to go quickly here to let you know that we measure, and this is from their own Google results here, we were able to help them increase the number of visits to the website by 66% year over year, number of users to their website by another 66%, and the new users introducing another 65% increase in new users just in the period of time that we were able to be working together. So it's really important that schools have a viable and thriving digital presence and no matter how well established your school's brand name or kind of awareness is in the community, it's very, very important to continue to do that, especially if you hope to grow. So another example of being eminently measurable in terms of all that we do.
And
So,
Janet, I'm just going to
yes,
jump right in here.
go
We
for
do
it.
have one question. One of them is, we haven't received as many enrollment packages for kindergartners as usual. Is
Yes,
this something you have heard of before? And can you help
yes.
with grade-specific searches?
Yeah, kinders are the ones that, that was the hardest hit cohort of students that we found were very difficult. We worked with a school who was a brand new, what we call a year zero school, where they were just opening up. And they were lucky to have a pretty nice little waiting list of kinder kids that they completely blew through and actually are, we're back at work with them right now with their lottery season right now, trying to establish waiting lists. Kinders are the ones that are the hardest. Parents are just not willing for some reason to, or haven't been willing to either let them go to school or keep them home. And so we're in this place where parents are not willing or haven't been willing to make a choice. So yeah, I feel your pain. Yes, we can do grade specific work. It's nice to be able to raise the level of awareness for your school. We can target certain age groups, and we certainly can speak to parents of certain age groups more. And what we try to do, and again, with your phone, if you go to your website and you don't see on that homepage what grades you're serving, um, that's the one of the first things we need to fix, right? So it's it's tough to say, oh yeah, we're going to fill all your sixth grade or your eighth grade or your 12th grade students needs, but we certainly will do everything we can to try.
And
Yeah.
then what about retention services? Do you assist in that?
Yeah, so retention is so critical, and I'm glad somebody asked about that. Some schools don't realize they have quite the retention problem that they have had in the past until COVID hit, because it exposed a lot of those issues. Where we really do well there is we speak to current parents a lot. And we help the school leaders with things like those newsletters that we do for them, the exposure that you can get just from telling your own school stories to your own parents is really comforting oftentimes. And so retention can be helped there. We also can help the staff understand how to better communicate. This is all a communications part of things. The culture that you've established or that you want to move into more by speaking about it and explaining it. And we do that through the leader videos that we might put up on YouTube. We provide scripts for folks internally to talk about the school. So there's many ways we can try and help with retention. It's a cultural thing, right? So we're going to have to be sure that the school is telling us where they're having challenges, and we certainly do anything we can to help with that. We're not just let's get new kids in and let the bottom fall out of the existing families at all. So I hope that's helpful.
And how does the pricing work out?
So thank you. This is the part that's we can either do a fee for service, which is monthly payments, just like you would with an agency. We really don't like to do that because we are motivated to help you, by growing your enrollment. So we prefer our pay for performance options. And what we do there is we take a look at your school, each school by school, state by state, because you get paid differently in every effort and every state. And we take so for those financial people on the call, and we make this we take what we hope will be a small part of the variable revenues from the state in the student's first year, and we'll take a little bit of that for every new student FTE, new FTE, ADA, or ADM that we add. And as a part of that, we'll offer a couple of different options. You can pay a small base fee, and we'll take a little bit less of that variable cost, or you pay nothing at all. And if you pay nothing at all, we'll take a little bit more of that variable cost. So we spell this out for every one of our schools so that you know exactly what you would pay us if you added 20 kids, if you had 0 kids, or if you add 100 kids. So there's no mystery to it, but it does take a little bit of us understanding where your school is and what your state payments are, that kind of thing.
And how
And
would that work for variable, or I'm sorry, for retention services? How would the variable cost work if it's just for retention?
Oh, I guess I wouldn't split out retention from the enrollment side of things. We'd have to talk about that because the services that we're providing from the enrollment work and the retention work are so intertwined that I guess we'd have to have a conversation about that, which we're happy to do. And this email at the bottom of the slide here, growcharters@charterschoolcapital.org. Just send us an email and we'll get somebody on this right away and talk to you about your specifics for whether it be enrollment or retention. Yeah.
And then how do you determine how many students enrolled as a result of this program? Or is it a
Yeah.
fee on all students enrolling?
No, it's so yes, that's a very typical question. With the exception of siblings who have actually, been named in the early part of the year, we say, all work, all rising tide lifts all boats. And so, while everything we do is eminently measurable, and everything you do is critically important, as we increase FTE, we will share in that revenue for the new FTE, ADA, or ADM. And so, just as you may have a wait list, and I kind of talked a little bit about this with our school that had the kinder wait list, and then the parents decided not to come in, you can't bank on what you have necessarily, in the spring to actually turn into enrollment in the fall. So we work together, we work in partnership, and we say, unless you've got a cohort of siblings that you actually know are going to show up, then we'll share in the new FTE, ADA, or ADM increases.
And can you tell us what ADA and ADM are?
Average daily attendance, average daily M. Somebody else on this call can probably give you that one, but it's actually new students that are adding to the growth of your school. So if you have 100 students today and you have 100 students in the fall, that means there's no additional growth that we would claim credit for at all. If you have 100 students today and you have 120 students in the fall, that's that difference between how the state counts you. So it's ADA, ADM, and FTE are how the state refers to those students transferring into your school. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Thank you.
Another question we have is the fee for services contracted by year?
Yes, although we do have schools that have asked for our help for a couple of years. So we do have students today, or we have clients today that have extended through the FY22 or SY22 school year. So, it's going to depend on how long you want to work with us. We always like to have at least a year to work together. Most of our contracts start from, say, right now, March through October. And then we would hopefully extend in October through the next school year if we could. It's a shared discussion point, likely around in August, September timeframe.
And then how often do we take a snapshot of enrollment to calculate fees?
So the thing that we like to do there is most states ask for reports in the spring, sometime between February and March, usually, where you're reporting into the state. Some states take it in a little bit different time, and we actually like to compare the state report in the spring to the final state report in the fall. So that we don't make extra work for you to have to report to a whole bunch of different entities. So we take spring versus fall and take that count. There were schools that worked with us in the last year that paid nothing for our services, where we redid their website, we did email marketing for them, we did advertising for them, et cetera. They just weren't able to grow based on the students that they served. So, that's where we put our money, our energy, our time at risk. And I can tell you that in a couple of cases, they've come back and said, hey, I really want to work with you again. How can we make sure this year you guys get paid for your effort? That was pretty cool. So, it cuts both ways. It really does sometimes. Any other questions?
The last question I have is, I'm not yet set up to help offer online enrollment. Are we able to help with that?
Yes, we are. In fact, we've taken schools who are willing to do this with us. A lot of parents and community members like paper-based enrollment, but we've actually made it simple, especially for schools who take like dropout recovery schools. We've created mobile enrollment capabilities even. So we will do that for you. Yes, absolutely. We like to be able to work on your website so that it makes enrollment very simple for the communities that we serve. So, you know, and so if we can add digital enrollment capabilities, that'll be really important for us. Yeah.
Great, and that's all we had.
Well, then, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. If you are interested, do send us a note and or keep us in mind for next year. We do have a limited number of spaces. We want to serve every school that we do serve really, really well. And so we will continue to grow this program over time and look forward to seeing whether or not we might be able to serve even more schools in the future. Thank you for your time today. And don't forget, you'll get this presentation. Reach out to us if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.